for in November.
Jessica Taylor, we're going through some of those numbers on the board, and I mentioned maybe the Senate's a little more complicated than the House. Of course, it's every House seat that's up every midterm election. It's only 1/3 of the Senate, and obviously you specialize in looking at the Senate battleground. Talk to us, if you would, a little bit about that, because I know when you talk to Democrats, you get more optimism from them when you start talking about the Senate than when you talk about the House. Take us through a little bit of what the battlefield looks like there, and why the Democrats may feel more, I say more optimistic or maybe less pessimistic when the subject of the Senate comes up.
Right. Well, you have more Republican seats up, 20 to 14, soon to be 15, given that there is another Oklahoma Senate race stepping down. And it's not as lopsided as it was in 2018 that favored Republicans. And ultimately, when we, though, sort of chip away, the battleground states are roughly even, though. And you have, for Democratic incumbents, there's three that in states that Biden won by less than 3 points, less than a point in both Georgia and Arizona, Nevada, New Hampshire, possibly, depending upon the type of candidate that Republicans are able to field. And then the Republicans, they're defending open seats in Ohio, in Pennsylvania, in North Carolina. And then the most endangered Republican incumbent is Ron Johnson, who is the only incumbent running in a state that the opposite presidential party won in 2020. So, but then when we drill down, you showed where Biden's numbers were nationally in his approval rating. And in these swing states, they're worse. I've seen numbers in the 30s in North Carolina and Georgia. And I think it comes down to the climate versus the candidates, because the biggest minefield that Republicans have right now is that they can nominate very polarizing candidates in places like Arizona, Missouri, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and they could give up, really great opportunities there. But in a way, what is feeling certainly like a wave election, those candidate problems may not matter. I think that it becomes a referendum on President Biden right now in the larger Democratic Party. And yes, this speech on Tuesday, I think, is his chance for a reset, but it was supposed to be more catered toward his domestic agenda and sort of talking about the economy and things they did with the infrastructure bill and trying to reset really a slide that's been happening since August. And we've just seen his numbers getting worse and worse. Now you have Ukraine, and we're just not certain how that's going to affect things. But what we are seeing consistently in polling, I think, for the average voter, it's the economy that is affecting them most. Because even if you see higher GDP numbers, if you're experiencing shortages at the grocery store, you're paying more when you're checking out, you're paying more for gas. Those are things that people feel. I think that's the biggest obstacle that Democrats have to overcome.